In the quiet moments, when the noise of the world finally fades away, it is almost inevitable for the human mind to pause and contemplate the great mysteries that define our existence. All of us, regardless of our culture or background, have felt small before the vastness of life. It is in that silence where profound and persistent questions arise. What is the true purpose of our presence here? Why does suffering seem to be such a deeply ingrained root in the human experience, often feeling like an inescapable burden? We question the reality of death as the end of our journey, and of course, we face the immense and sometimes overwhelming uncertainty of what the future holds, not just for ourselves, but for the generations yet to come. However, life is not composed solely of great philosophical enigmas. We also carry the tangible and constant weight of our daily reality. We are concerned with things that some might call normal, but which for us are the very core of our stability. The daily struggle to achieve economic security, the exhausting effort to earn enough to live with dignity, and the deep, almost instinctive longing to build a home where harmony reigns and to see our family grow in health and happiness. It is this constant tension between our highest aspirations and our most basic needs that defines our day-to-day lives. Amidst this complex blend of daily struggles and transcendental doubts, an essential question arises. Have you ever stopped to wonder if there is a common thread that gives meaning to all these experiences? Is there a hidden purpose or a lesson behind every challenge we face? Throughout the centuries, the Bible has remained not just as a record of the past or an ancient text, but as a living presence for millions of people. It presents itself as a universal guide that neither ignores nor evades these difficult questions. On the contrary, it embraces and accompanies them, stripping away dogma to offer an honest and profound perspective on our own humanity, reflecting our own doubts in the voices of those who, millennia ago, sought the very same answers we seek today.
If we open the pages of the Bible with a clear and open mind, we will discover that rather than a book of rigid rules, it is a vast catalog of human curiosity and anguish. Within it are contained many of the questions and narratives that humanity has asked itself since the beginning of time, inquiries that know no borders nor belong to any single era. We encounter, for instance, the enigma of origins. How did life truly begin? What was that initial spark that brought us into being? And once present in this world, an even more intimate question arises. Why are we here? Is there a reason for our individual and collective existence, or are we merely travelers through time? The text also dares to touch the most painful fibers of our reality. It asks, why do good people suffer? This is the mystery of injustice that has haunted philosophers and thinkers for millennia. And looking toward the end of our journey, it poses the question, is there life after death, or is silence the final word? It even addresses our deepest social contradictions. Why are there so many wars and conflicts if, deep down, we all claim to long for peace? And what will become of our planet, this shared home that sometimes seems so fragile in the face of our actions? We must understand that the Bible, in its purest and original essence, rather than providing absolute answers or imposing closed truths, acts as a mirror. Its real value lies in helping us observe our own nature, to reflect on our surroundings, and to find personal meaning within our own life experience. It is not a final destination, but a starting point for thought. As we always remind ourselves, we do not seek the single correct interpretation, nor do we claim to possess an exclusive truth. What we seek is to discover what this text can awaken within any human consciousness, allowing each individual to find their own resonance in these ancestral words.
If we look around us, beyond our borders and cultures,
we will realize a shared truth. All over the world, people face problems that generate profound sadness, anxiety, and pain. This is not an isolated phenomenon. It is part of the complex tapestry of human life. We encounter the weight of illnesses that weaken both body and spirit, and the heartbreaking experience of losing loved ones, leaving voids that seem impossible to fill. Have you ever gone through something like this? Have you ever felt that circumstances have exceeded your capacity to respond? In those moments of vulnerability, the Bible offers a perspective that can soothe and help one endure the burdens of daily life. It does not do so through magic formulas, but through words that seek to resonate in the deepest parts of our psychology. Take, for example, what is found in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verses 11 and 12. There, the text says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will hear you." From a neutral viewpoint, these words were originally written for people living in exile, in uncertainty and displacement. Reading them today, we can understand them as a reminder that even amidst chaos, it is possible to construct a narrative of well-being. They represent the idea that our story does not have to end in tragedy, but that the possibility of a purposeful future exists. It is an invitation to introspection and internal dialogue, to believe that we will be heard by life itself when we search for a way out. On the other hand, the book of Revelation, in chapter 21, verse 4, offers us one of the most powerful images in universal literature. "He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away." This vision transcends any narrow literal or religious interpretation. It is the symbol of the absolute resilience of the human spirit. The act of wiping away a tear represents ultimate comfort, the hope that suffering is not eternal, and that pain, however intense it may be, is part of a stage that can be overcome. These words symbolize the hope and the capacity for inner resilience that we all possess. Beyond any doctrine, they invite us to reflect on our ability to heal and to look forward, reminding us that the meaning of our existence is not found in the pain we endure, but in the hope we are capable of sustaining in its face.
As we draw near to the end of this journey, we encounter one of the most moving and profound visions in all of ancient literature. The Bible speaks of a future where pain, outcry, and injustice finally cease to exist. It describes a paradise, a word that originally evoked the image of a protected garden, where humanity, liberated from its heaviest burdens and its oldest conflicts, will finally be able to live fully and in harmony with everything that surrounds us. However, in this space of neutral reflection, we dare to go a step beyond the literal surface. Perhaps the real question, the one that truly matters for our existence in this complex 21st century, is not simply whether this paradise will be a physical reality in a distant time or a different dimension. The question that truly challenges us at this moment is, what does this vision mean for our lives now, in the midst of our daily battles? This promise should not be seen merely as a passive comfort for the future. It is, in reality, an urgent invitation to reflect on our present. It invites us to live with a sharper conscience, to awaken our sense of justice, and to find a purpose that transcends the simple act of existing. If the original writers captured this hope during times of great oppression, it was not just so that people would wait for a miracle, but so that this vision of an ideal world would act as an ethical beacon. That hope served to expose the shadows of the current world and to remind us that human beings have the capacity to aspire to something far nobler than simple conflict. As you observe these words on the screen, I invite you into an exercise of deep and silent introspection. Think for a moment. If this promise of a world without pain or injustice were not just a distant prophecy, but a universal principle that we decided to apply to our personal ethics today, how would it change the way we live every hour of our day? If we were to assume that the natural destiny of humanity is peace, reconciliation, and the healing of all wounds, how would we treat the person standing next to us today, despite our differences? How would our priorities change, our ambitions, our relationship with this planet that sustains us? To live under the light of this hope means beginning to sow, today, small seeds of that paradise in our immediate surroundings. It means understanding that hope is not a static waiting, but an active and conscious practice. It is, ultimately, understanding that the true meaning of our lives is found not only in the destination we long for, but in the depth and consciousness with which we choose to walk toward it.
As we close this first block of reflection, we are left with a central idea that shakes our most comfortable certainties. Perhaps the Bible did not come into this world solely to provide us with finished and absolute answers, the kind that shut down thought. Perhaps its deepest and most ancestral purpose is to awaken within us those essential questions that have accompanied us since the dawn of consciousness. Questions that do not seek a quick fix, but rather seek to walk beside us forever, forcing us to look inward and toward others with greater honesty. Answers often mark a full stop, but questions are the engine of human search. They are what keep us alive, curious, and in constant evolution. When observing the biblical text from a universal perspective, we discover that the original writers did not seek to place a blindfold over the reader's eyes, but rather to light a torch to explore the darkness of our own condition. It is in that search, rather than in blind acceptance, that the true richness of the human experience is found. This leads us to a crucial point that we will address very soon. If we move away from traditional interpretations and the rigid structures built over the centuries, a reasonable doubt arises. How can we truly trust what these pages say? What solid foundations exist beyond institutional faith to grant this book a place in our search for meaning today? In the second part of our gathering, we will venture precisely into that territory. We will explore how it is possible to trust the integrity of the message, analyzing its internal coherence and its astonishing survival through time, not as an unquestionable dogma, but as a human record of unprecedented depth. We will discuss how to interpret its teachings beyond dogma, learning to distinguish between the original essence of the text, that which the writers recorded with urgency for posterity, and the layers of interpretation that time and institutions have added over the years. We will see how to read between the lines, how to rescue practical wisdom, and how to allow this text to speak to us in a direct, critical, and transformative way. I invite you to stay with us for this second segment, where curiosity will be our only guide and intellectual honesty our only rule. Prepare to discover a Bible that does not simply ask to be believed, but asks to be understood, questioned, and above all, lived.